Good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Chimbuya. I am an elder at Northside. And thank you for choosing to tune in for tonight's devotion. May God bless you richly. Today's devotion is based on what was preached on Sunday by Gary. And on Sunday, it was Mother's Day, and God bless all mothers. You're really special. There is a common saying that says, for every successful man, there is a woman. And that woman is not you. It's not your wife or it's your sister. No, it is your mother. Mothers, you are very special. On Sunday, the service was based on one woman who amazed Jesus. What is it that actually amazed Jesus in this woman? We actually find the answer in verse 28 of Matthew 15. Jesus said to the woman, "Woman, you have great faith." That's what impressed Jesus was the great faith that the woman had. This is not the first time we read that Jesus was amazed by someone's faith. In Mark 5, verse 34, we see Jesus saying to another woman, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be free from your suffering." The woman was bleeding blood and had been bleeding blood for 12 years, and she determined to touch the garment of Jesus, saying to herself, "If only I touch his garment, I will be healed and be free from this suffering." In another case, there was a blind beggar who heard Jesus was passing by, and he shouted to Jesus to have mercy on him. Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do?" The beggar said, "Lord, I want to see." And Jesus said, "Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you." Now, let's go back to the woman who amazed Jesus. How did that faith play out before Jesus in the story that was recorded in Matthew 15? In this story, we see the woman went through 3 tests to her faith. We shall look at these one after the other. Now, to start with, let's understand what faith is. Hebrews 11 tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for. And verse 6 goes further and says, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to God must first believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him." Now, Jesus acknowledged that the woman he was talking to had great faith, and as a result, her request was granted. And he said, and her daughter was healed when Jesus spoke the words, "Your faith is great." Let's go back to the story. What can we say about the woman who amazed Jesus? This woman was a Canaanite. As a Canaanite, she was part of the enemies of Israel. Now, despite this, the woman knew who Jesus was, and she addressed him as Lord and the Son of David. She knew who Jesus was. Jesus was Lord to her. Jesus was the Son of David. Jesus was the Son of God. Their faith was based on a strong belief of who Jesus was. Hence, she addressed him as Lord. In verse 25, the woman knelt and asked her Lord to help her. She believed in her heart that Jesus as Lord was in a position to help her. So, she knew her daughter, who was demon-possessed, would be healed if only Jesus spoke the word. But that's where the problem started. When the woman asked for mercy to heal her daughter, who was demon-possessed, Jesus did not say a word. There was silence. And silence tests our resolve. Is it rejection? Is it saying wait? And if prolonged, silence may be taken as rejection. However, when you are driven by faith, you stick to your request, however long it takes. And the silence gave her the opportunity, at least that her courage said, at least it is not no. Remember, faith is the substance and it is the evidence of things hoped for. Do not therefore take God's silence as reason to give up praying. Persist in prayer even when it appears there is silence. For the woman in our story, silence did not deter her from continuing with her request. The second test was the second test that she encountered was the discouragement from the disciples. And the disciples, having noticed that Jesus did not reply, they actually thought Jesus was rejecting her. So they urged Jesus to send her away. That was the second test to her faith. People around you may be sensing the long delays to answers for your prayers and may begin to discourage you and asking you to stop praying. The woman in the story was not discouraged. She was physically close to Jesus, and that encouraged her because there in front of her, Jesus stood. When you pray, know it that Jesus is close to you. He is hearing your prayer. Persist in your prayer. Your reward is coming. The woman did not give up. The woman suffered a third test, and that from Jesus himself. In verse 24, Jesus says, and this he was actually talking to his disciples, and he says, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Was that true? The woman knew that was not the whole truth. But that also could have sent the woman away because this was definitely a no. But she also knew this is the Savior of the world. And she knew anyone who comes to him will never be rejected, even if it meant being blessed after the children of Israel have already been blessed. She too was going to be blessed. And she rejected being labeled a Canaanite or an outcast. She knew who Jesus was and persisted in her request. Great faith will be tested. But know it that Jesus will always answer your request. Stick to your faith despite the circumstances. God will eventually reward you. Remember, by grace, you have been saved through faith. And therefore, faith is the key to your relationship with God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. God bless you. Good night.